Greetings to all. In this video, we are going to discuss about indirect loading test on three-phase induction motor. In last video, we have discussed about direct loading test, that is load test to obtain performances for small induction motor. And whereas this indirect loading test is suitable for large machine, especially at the time of manufacturing the motor, and we can say this indirect loading test also as a predetermination or pre-estimation of performances of an induction motor. So predetermination or pre-estimation of performances of a three-phase induction motor. For obtaining such predetermination of performances, that is operating parameters of an induction motor, here we are going to perform two tests. One is no load and another one is called blocked rotor test. Each test is having its own individual inferences, and we can obtain those inferences simply by considering the equivalent circuit of three-phase induction motor. So now we'll start this video with equivalent circuit of a three-phase induction motor referred to stator. So this is a circuit, that is exact equivalent circuit what we have seen in the previous video. And the thing that is our work here is we have to find the number of branch parameters available in this circuit. So totally we are having series and shunt branch parameters. So one is shunt branch parameter and another one is called series branch parameter. So this is called shunt branch parameter, and rest of the element, that is R1, X1, R2 dash, X2 dash, are called as series branch parameter because it is in series with the supply voltage, and this is the electrical equivalent of mechanical output. So in a shunt branch parameter, the very first parameter is no load current, and it is having two component. It is resolved in two component. One is IW, that is working current, and another one is magnetizing current component. And IW is flowing through a loss component R0, and whereas IM is flowing through a magnetizing component XM. And we can say IW as an active component and IM as a reactive component. And here R0 indicating the presence of constant loss. So constant is going to have a combination of iron, that is core loss and mechanical loss. And while coming to series branch element, here we are having a stator impedance, that is R1 plus JX1, that is stator resistance, and rotor resistance, that is R2 dash plus JX2 dash. The current flowing to the stator is I1 here, and the current through the rotor is I2 dash here. And this is about the shunt and series branch element. And the supply voltage here, we can take this V1 as V1 per phase, that is a phase voltage, because we are equating a three-phase induction motor circuit to a single phase equivalent circuit. So V1 is nothing but a phase voltage. So now our work is we have to pre-estimate the efficiency of an induction motor. It means we have to determine all the branch parameters available in this equivalent circuit. So for that we are going to make use of these two tests. So totally we are having no load and blocked rotor test. Totally we are having two tests, and here we are having two branch elements. So we can make use of no load test for obtaining shunt branch element and blocked rotor test for series branch element. In shunt branch we are having a fixed loss. In series branch we are having variable loss, that is copper loss, because we are having impedances alone, that is resistance and reactance alone, so we can expect only I square R loss in the series branch parameter. So this is the concept behind indirect loading test. And we know approximate equivalent circuit is another equivalent circuit specifically designed for obtaining the branch parameters of an equivalent circuit. It means here we have just separated the shunt and series branch elements. So by performing no load and blocked rotor test, we can find the values of resistance, reactances, and the active and reactive component of no load current. So now we'll have a comparison of no load and blocked rotor test, and similarly we are just going to have an observation of the behavior of an induction motor when we are going to perform no load and blocked rotor test here. So we know no load test is for obtaining shunt branch parameter and blocked rotor test is for series branch parameter. And totally we are having two types of losses. One is fixed loss and another one is variable loss. So here no load test is for finding a fixed loss and blocked rotor test is for finding a variable loss. And here from the name itself, what the inference we can get is we are not having any load to the shaft of an induction motor. So rotor is free to rotate. So no load. So rotor is free to rotate in no load test, and whereas in blocked rotor test we are blocking the rotor. It means we are arresting the rotor from its operation, so it is unable to move. So rotor is blocked. We can say because of that free rotation on the rotor, we are going to have a speed of rotor approximately equal to the synchronous speed. Whereas here the rotor is arrested, so the speed of the rotor will be 0. Because of that, the value of slip is 0 in no load test and slip is 1 in blocked rotor test. So we can say in no load the rotor circuit almost looking like a open circuit, and whereas in blocked rotor test the rotor is looking like a short circuit. For no load, rotor is behaving like a open circuit, and blocked rotor test, rotor is a short circuit. So with that understanding, now we'll talk about the supply given to the induction motor. So because of the no load circuit assumption on the rotor, we are going to operate the machine with rated voltage and rated frequency. And whereas in blocked rotor, here we are having a short circuit assumption on the rotor. Because of that high current flow to the rotor, we are going to operate this induction motor with rated current and reduction in the supply voltage. And what about frequency? Here we can have two variations in the frequency. One is we can have a reduction in the frequency, or we can maintain a constant frequency. If we are going with the larger machine, we can have a reduction in voltage as well as a frequency. So reduction in the sense we can expect 25% of reduction in the supply of frequency. And whereas if you are going with a block rotor test for smaller machine, we can have a reduction in voltage and can maintain the constant frequency. So on the whole, we are just going to operate the machine with a rated current for block rotor test. In no load test, we are going to have a rated voltage and frequency. So now we are just going to substitute the value of the slip in this equivalent circuit. So here in electrical equivalent of mechanical output, we are having the value of slip. So by simply substituting the value of slip as 0 here, we can get the value of RL as infinity. So here the RL is very high, and now coming to the block rotor test, by substituting the value of slip as 1, we can get the value of RL as 0. It is very low. So we can say it is an open circuit. Rotor is open circuit in no load and short circuit in blocked rotor test. And now we are going to simplify this equivalent circuit. So here, due to very high, that is infinite resistance on the mechanical output, here we are not having any flow of current to the rotor circuit. So we can say a rotor is an open circuit while conducting no load test. Because of that, we have just removed the rotor part from this equivalent circuit, and in blocked rotor test we have removed the shunt parameter because we are operating the machine at a rated current with reduction in voltage as well as in frequency if we are going to deal with larger machine. So we know in shunt parameter we are having constant loss. The constant loss is the combination of iron and mechanical loss. So iron loss is directly proportional to supply square of the supply voltage, and mechanical loss is directly proportional to frequency, that is supply frequency. And here in blocked rotor test we are reducing the voltage as well as the frequency. Due to reduction in supply voltage and frequency, we can expect very negligible iron and mechanical losses in the case of blocked rotor test. So because of that, we are removing the shunt branch parameter from the equivalent circuit while performing blocked rotor test. So now we will write the power balance equation for no load test. So here in no load circuit, we are having a stator component and then a loss component. So in stator we are having only impedance. Because of that, we can expect a stator copper loss. Since we are talking about no load, we are calling that as no load stator copper loss. And another is loss component, that is constant loss, in which we are having a core, that is iron loss and mechanical losses. This is the loss component available in the no load equivalent circuit. Now coming to the blocked rotor test, here we are having only the impedances at stator as well as on the rotor. So we can write the equation for blocked rotor power as stator copper loss plus rotor copper loss. So the thing is, for obtaining the no load and blocked rotor power, we require the resistance of the stator. It means we require I square R loss. We know the value of the current and voltage simply by connecting a voltmeter and ammeter in the circuit, and whereas for measuring the resistances we have to go with a separate circuit connection. So for now we'll see the measurement of stator winding resistance. We know in stator we are having a 3-phase balanced star connected distributed winding, right? So it is having equal number of resistance, so equal number of turns with the value of resistance R. So we can name these phases as A, B and C. And for finding the stator winding resistance, now we are going to feed any of these two phases with a DC supply. So we are going to give a DC supply, and we are going to make this DC supply almost equal to the rated voltage of this machine. So once if we are giving a supply across any of these two phases, there will be a flow of current through this loop. So we can call this current as IDC. So the total resistance across terminal AB is just the combination of these two resistances. R plus R is 2R. So the value of R is total resistance, that is RAB divided by 2. It is for star connection. So the same thing will happen when we are going to give a supply between any of other two phases. So this is the equation, RAB by 2 or RBC or RCA by 2. So almost all equal because of equal number of turns available on all the three phase windings. So we can call this R as a stator winding resistance, but it is a DC resistance. So RS is nothing but a DC resistance because due to the supply, due to a DC supply, we are getting this DC resistance, right? So that we have to obtain effective AC resistance. The formula is RAC is equal to 1.6 times R DC. We know the resistance of DC circuit is in pole condition. So for calculating the resistance for AC circuit, we have to include the temperature also. So here the 1.6 is for temperature, and with the help of RDC we are going to get the effective AC resistance. So just it is similar to the RMS value, root mean square value, what we used to do in AC circuit. So here in no load as well as in blocked rotor test, we required stator copper loss. So we have to find effective AC resistance while performing no load as well as while performing blocked rotor test. So after that we can find the constant power loss, and here blocked rotor test, simply a copper loss on stator as well as on the rotor. And with the help of no load test, we have to find the shunt branch parameters, and we know the formula for working current component, magnetizing component, and with the help of Ohm's law we can find the value of R0 XM, that is loss component and magnetizing component. And for finding the no load power and blocked rotor power, we know the circuit assembly for conducting no load and blocked rotor. It is more or less equal to the circuit assembly what we have used for conducting load test, in which for measuring the three phase power we are using 2 wattmeter method, and for measuring the supply voltage we are using on voltmeter, and for measuring line current we are using on ammeter. So that's all the meters required for conducting no load as well as blocked rotor test. So we know at the time of conducting no load, one of the wattmeter will have a negative deflection. So we know W2 is going to have a negative deflection. So in order to make that to a positive side of deflection, we are just going to have a interchanging of current coil terminals. So we are just going to take only one reading for no load as well as for blocked rotor test, but at the time of no load test, one of the wattmeters is going to have a negative deflection, that is W2, and now we are going to have a interchanging of current coil terminals in order to measure the positive deflection. So we can say the W0 will be the power, that is wattmeter reading 1 plus minus of wattmeter reading 2. So this will be the total power at no load condition. And at the time of conducting blocked rotor test, so here we can have a WS as W1 plus W2, because here we are starting the machine with the full load on the rotor, so we can expect more power factor at the time of giving supply to the machine. So here the formula for finding WS will be W1 plus a W2. So from that we can find power for no load and blocked rotor test. So with the help of that voltmeter, ammeter and wattmeter reading, we can find the power factor, or with the help of a power factor, that is a tan inverse of psi formula, we can get this power factor also. And in series branch parameter, that is in blocked rotor test, next to that blocked rotor power, we can find the value of the total impedances on the stator as well as on the rotor. Simply by applying Ohm's law, we know V equal to IR, that is V by I. Here V is the V1 per phase and here I is called IS, this current, and with the help of this value we can get the impedances on the stator as well as on the rotor, and with the help of this impedance value, and we know the resistance of stator, and with the help of this we can find the reactance on the stator, and next to this we can find the reactance on the rotor too by adding the reactance and resistance value. So totally we can find all the branch parameters as well as especially the loss components, so that we are calling this indirect loading test as a predetermination of efficiency of an induction motor. Normally for finding the loss components we have to go for the direct load connection, but whereas here because of larger machines we are just going to estimate the performances before bringing that motor into a market, so that we are calling this as pre-estimation. This is about indirect loading test, that is no load and blocked rotor test. In next video I will discuss about separation of no load losses in detail. Thank you.